Hi, my name's Linda Miller, and I'm here to talk about my two careers that I've had in my lifetime, and hopefully everyone will enjoy what I have to say. Well, my first career was in law enforcement, and I pursued that. My father was in law enforcement, and I always heard him tell stories about how he helped people all the time, and that's one thing that I always wanted to do, was help people. And so I thought that that would be a perfect career for me. The second one was, my interest was in fitness, and I'm currently working with ID Life, a health and wellness company. And I've always been into working out and trying to take care of my body the best way I can, and ID Life was the perfect fit for me. And in law enforcement, the big break was after trying numerous times to apply for police jobs throughout the county, throughout the state, and having the door slammed in my face, windows slammed in my face, being told I was too short, too skinny, I was a girl, because they were allowed to say that kind of stuff back then. Kept getting turned down, and I refused to give up. So eventually I found a small department, and I spoke to the chief there, and he told me that if I would finish and pursuing my bachelor's degree, to come back and see him then, and the next time there would be a position available, he would hire me part-time. So that's what I did. I went back. I was currently going through working during the day, going for my bachelor's degree at night, and once I graduated, I ended up going back to that department and showed him that my degree and everything, and he said, okay, next position's yours. And within a month, he had hired me as a part-time officer. When it came to ID Life, I have a friend that's a patrol officer in another department who came across this company and thought it would be a perfect fit for me because of the way I like to take care of myself and be fit and what have you. So I researched the company and looked it over and said it was a no-brainer, so I ended up signing up as a founding partner with ID Life. My major for college was criminal justice, because that was my dream, to become a full-time police officer, first female somewhere. And when I went to my parents and told them that I liked to go to college, they told me that they couldn't afford to send me. And so I was determined that I knew what I wanted to do. So I went and worked 2 jobs while I put myself through school. My first job was during the day. Between classes, I was a student helper. And then at night, I would leave school and I would waitress. And that's how I paid for my education. And I got my 2-year degree, Associates in Applied Science, back in 1975. Then I just plodded along in life, happy that I had my 2-year degree. And then I was working for a college, and I was a sergeant in a department, a patrol officer. And a lieutenant's position became available, and I applied for the position, and I was told that I wasn't qualified because I didn't have a bachelor's degree. So they ended up hiring somebody else, but I had to train them how to do the job. So a couple years later, the position became available again. I applied again. Again, I was told that I didn't have a bachelor's degree, so I couldn't have the position. But I had to train that gentleman to do the job. So that ticked me off enough that I went back to school to work on my bachelor's degree. And then that's when I ran into the chief in that small town who told me, continue your education and then come back and see me, which is what I ended up doing. So I finally got hired on that little department as a part-time officer, and eventually, after 7 years of taking civil service exams and interviews and what have you, I finally got hired full-time in that department. Unfortunately, I ended up being involved in an automobile accident that I had the injuries were so bad that I was unable to return to the street. So while I was trying to repair my body so that I could return to the street, a friend of mine in the department had said, you know, maybe you should go back and get your master's degree so if things don't work out here at the department, you have something to fall back on. So I did. I went back. I got my master's degree in 2000, and luckily, I'm glad I did, because unfortunately it didn't work out for me and they had to put me out on a disability retirement. And so then I at least had the master's degree to fall back on, and that allowed me to become an adjunct professor at a local college. And I taught criminal justice for 5 years. And with ID Life, it was being able to become a founding partner in that company, because that company is on the verge of greatness, and we've only been around for 4 years, just trying to get the word out there, let people know what we're about. It's a company that provides customized nutrition, that it allows your body to take what it needs for optimal health. All our products are pharmaceutical grade, so anyone has to worry about having fillers put in. It's all pure pharmaceutical grade supplements. And we also have weight loss products, we have children's products, we have a skincare line that both men and women can use. We have a product if you have problems with sleep. Everything is pure and natural, because our CEO would never have it any other way. I was the first female security guard at 2 local colleges in the area that I lived in. From there, I went to a 3rd college where I became the first female campus patrol officer, who then became the first female sergeant, who then became the first female lieutenant, who then became the first female assistant director of security. So I was very proud of being able to achieve all those steps and doing the job as best as I could do it. I think the biggest highlight I had was when I graduated with my master's degree, because when I was back in high school, my high school guidance counselor told me that I would never amount to anything and no college would ever want to accept me. And here I am now with a master's degree. At 61 years old, I competed in my first bikini competition, and last year I received my fitness certification to teach senior fitness for individuals that are not mobile, that they don't have the capability of running and jumping, so they have to do things seated or holding onto a bar. So I'm anxious to get started in teaching those classes. I try my hardest to be kind and caring to everybody that I meet, and if people are down on their luck, I try to do my best to help them. And I think a lot of that's because back in the day, that was the way I was, down on my luck, but I tried to just pick myself up and go. And so I have friends that when things aren't going their way, they know they can call me, and I'll be there to help them out. Well, my first inspiration was my 7th grade social studies teacher, Mr. Monahan. And back then, I was very quiet, very shy little girl, and apparently he saw something in me that I didn't see, and he kind of took me in under his wing, and he encouraged me to do things that I probably would have never done, to include tutoring children that had difficulty reading and things like that. So I give him a lot of credit. I think he was trying to get me out of my shell a little bit, which helped. Luckily, I had the opportunity to thank him right before he passed away. I didn't know he was sick, and I reached out to him and asked if I could just meet with him. And so I was glad he got to know how much I appreciated what he did for me. The other 2 people are my parents. I have 3 sisters, and my parents always encouraged my sisters and I to go for our dream and do not let any obstacles get in the way. Just if you believe you can do it, you do it. More than likely, I would be leaving the legacy for my 2 nieces and my nephew and their future children. I do not have any children personally, so I would just leave it for them, and hopefully they would get to know me a little better, and hopefully their children would get to see what a cool aunt I would have been if I was around when they were around. My family has always been behind me, as well as my sisters, 100%. My sisters are behind me. My two nieces, they just think it's the coolest thing that their aunt was a cop, and I was the topic of papers that they wrote in grammar school and junior high, which was kind of cool. But they've always been behind me, always cheering me on. They might not be able to be right there with me, but they let me know by email, phone, video, whatever, that to keep doing what I'm doing, and they're very proud. I'd like to be remembered two different ways. The first one being that I always had your back. So if you were my friend, you never had to worry about where I stood. You knew where I was behind you 100%. The second one is that I love a challenge, and to give me something and tell me that I can't do it doesn't happen, except for jumping out of an airplane, because that's what my sisters want me to do now, and that one I'm not doing. But I really do like challenges because I like to prove people wrong.